Welcome to day 4 of the 21-day public speaking challenge. Today, we embark on a journey of crafting your yoga speech by making crucial decisions on duration of your class, the level, the yoga style, the type of flow, and the theme. Let's start by choosing the duration of your class. First of all, consider your audience. Access the attention span of your target audience to ensure they remain engaged throughout the class. Tailor the duration of the class to align with their comfort level, ensuring they can fully participate and benefit from the experience. Second, align with class intent. Determine the purpose or theme of your class, whether it's intended to be energizing, relaxing, or focusing on a specific aspect of a yoga practice. Adjust the duration of the class accordingly to effectively fulfill the intended objective and provide a cohesive experience for your students, for participants. Balance depth and time. Strike a balance between covering key elements of the class, such as introductions, meditation, asana practice, and relaxation, the shavasana, while respecting the available time. Ensure that the duration allows for meaningful and comprehensive yoga experience where participants have the opportunity to explore poses, connect with their breath, and cultivate mindfulness. Consider time allotment. While traditional yoga classes are typically 90 minutes long, modern schedule often accommodate shortened durations ranging from 60 to 75 minutes. When choosing the duration for your class, consider allocating time for various components such as introduction, meditation, pranayama, chants, and relaxation in shavasana. Having a rough idea of the percentage of time for each component helps ensure a well-rounded and balanced class experience for your students. Let's explore together the structure of a yoga class in terms of average duration, considering 60, 75, and 90-minute sessions. Additionally, we'll examine the number of asana to include with each time frame. All right, so part of the class is a warm up. So, a warm up normally includes a sun salutation as well. How many warm up asana would you recommend in 60 minutes class? Well, first of all, it's 15 minutes and it's 5 to 6 asanas. For 75 minutes, you have for 18 minutes and you have 7 to 8 asanas. For a 90 minutes class, normally a warm up it's 20 minutes and the asanas are in between 9 and 10. Middle one for a 60-minute yoga class is 12 minutes. For a 75 is 16 minutes, and for 90 minutes class is 20 minutes. How many asanas do we include in a 60 minutes class? For a middle one, it's 5. For a 75 minutes class is 5 to 7, and for a 90 minutes class is normally 8 asanas. Middle two. In middle two, normally the 60 minutes class is 12 minutes. For a 75 minutes class is 15 minutes. And for a 90 minutes class is 20 minutes. Normally is 3 to 4 asanas for a 60 minutes class. For a 75 minutes class is 4 to 5. And for a 90 minutes class is 5 to 6. Let's moving into cool down. Cool down for a 60 minutes class is 10 minutes, which is 3 to 4 asanas. Then for a 75 minutes class is 12 minutes, which is 4 to 5 asanas. And for a 90 minutes class, it's normally 18 minutes, it's 5 to 6 asanas. By considering those factors, you can effectively choose the duration of your yoga class to meet the needs and preferences of your audience while aligning with the intended class objective. This thoughtful approach ensures that participants have a fulfilling and enriching yoga experience from start to finish. Okay, let's move to a yoga level. There are generally four main levels of yoga practitioners. We have super beginners. They are individuals who are completely new to yoga or have very limited experience with yoga. They might not be familiar with basic poses or yoga terminology. Your contraindications and cautions, your corrections and adjustment, common misalignment, the use of props and techniques and cues must be very precise. The teaching absolute beginners is challenging because it requires recalling foundational knowledge learned a long time ago. Then we're moving into a beginner. Beginners have some familiarity with yoga, but still not mastering foundational poses and understanding proper alignment. They still need a lot of attention when it comes to modification to practice safely. Still, the guidance they need is very precise. Intermediate practitioners have a solid understanding of basic poses and are comfortable with advanced variations. They might be working and advancing on building strength, flexibility, and endurance in their practice. So you want to challenge them with advanced cueing techniques and variations. Then we have advanced practitioners have a high level of proficiency in yoga and can comfortably practice challenging poses and sequences. They often have a deep understanding of alignment principle and they might be working on refining their practice or exploring more advanced techniques. The challenge lies in intertwining yoga philosophy and Dharma talk with advanced techniques. Often you don't need to demonstrate the asana, and also you don't need to be super precise with cautions, props, and common misalignments like with super beginners or beginners. Why is important to consider all level of practitioners? Very, very important question. It's important to consider all level of practitioners while building your own yoga sequence for several reasons. The first one, which I think it's the most important in yoga, inclusivity. By catering to various level of experience, you ensure that all students feel welcome and can participate safely in the class. This promotes a sense of inclusivity and community within the yoga studio. Safety, also super important. I think I put it in order when it comes to importance. So safety, providing modification and options for different level helps prevent injuries by allowing students to practice within their abilities and avoid pushing themselves too far. Then progression, offering options for different levels allows students to progress gradually in the practice. Beginner can start with foundational poses and gradually work their way up to more advanced variation as they gain strength and flexibility. Last one is engagement. Tailoring your sequence to accommodate different levels of practitioner keeps the class engaging for everyone. It prevents more advanced students from feeling bored while ensuring that beginners don't feel overwhelmed or discouraged. By considering all levels of practitioners while building your yoga sequence, you create a balanced and inclusive class experience that meets the need of all your students, regardless of their level of experience and ability. Yoga style. When choosing a yoga style for your class, it should align with your training, of course, experience and personal practice. Your yoga style is a reflection of your expertise, your studies, and your passions. It should be a style in which you feel confident and comfortable teaching. If you are deciding on a style for your first or second teacher training, Opt for one that resonates with you, brings you joy, and naturally enhance your confidence and authenticity. Consider whether you prefer dynamic flow like vinyasa or gentle practices like hatha or deep stretch like yin yoga. There are some of the options, some of the yoga style you can go and explore in different yoga studios in your cities. During this process, it's important to try different styles and teacher. One teacher might resonate with you more than others. Be mindful of what I'm going to say next. When considering attending your first or second teacher training, also take into account your audience preferences by observing their interests and needs. But don't forget to say truth to your authentic self while accommodating the preferences of your students. If you have expertise in multiple styles, consider blending them harmoniously in your class. Integrate elements from different styles to add your unique touch to the class and create a versatile experience. Your unique teaching approach and personality make your class special, make people coming back for your class. For example, you might incorporate the mindfulness of yin yoga with the dynamic sequence of vinyasa for a well-rounded practice. Experiment with different combination and find a fusion that feels good, authentic, and resonate with you only. Moving on to the type of flow. Selecting the type of flow for your yoga class involves considering several factors, as discussed on day 2, understanding your audience. If you haven't watched it yet, go back and watch the understand your audience. So first, it's the age. The age of your students can define your flow. For example, are your student elderly, teenager, or children? The age of your students will influence the energy level of your class. In fact, the next point is energy level. So the energy level, we know from your students, we know your students' energy level while guiding you in choosing appropriate transition. For example, if your student are teenager, the energy level you aim to cultivate in your class dynamic is invigorating and challenging, right? Or if, for instance, if you have a class of seniors, your energy level is gentle, soothing, and restorative. Or let's take another example. If you have a mixed class, you might also opt for a balanced mix of both, so dynamic and gentle. And then we want to consider the life stage of your students as we explore in understanding your audience. Are your student moms, prenatal or postnatal? And of course, you want to implement a flow that suit that request. And then the last point is student level. Are they beginners, intermediate, or advanced? That will tell us which type of flow we can consider when we create our class. Consider the skills level of your student when designing your flow. Offer modifications and variation and think of those before stepping into the class that accommodate practitioners or of different abilities, ensuring that everyone feels challenged yet supported in their practice. Be always mindful of providing clear instructions and cues to guide students through the flow, especially if they are beginners or less experienced practitioners in the class. Encourage students to listen to the body and honor their limitation. That's what yoga is all about. By exploring those factors, age, energy level, transition, and student levels, you can tailor your class to meet the specific needs of your audience, and you can create a flow that is both engaging and accessible to all the participants. Let's talk about the flow. So there are two main types of flows: the ladder flow, or called progressive flow, and the static flow. Let's start with the ladder flow. A ladder flow or progressive sequence in yoga is a methodology of building a series of poses where each pose progressively leads into the next, often by adding a new element or increasing the complexity. It could be more breath, asana, or asana variation with each round. Don't worry, we are going to get into that in a minute. This method is akin to climbing a ladder, which each round representing a new step that builds upon the previous one. This approach is effective for gradually deepening a practice and improving strength, flexibility, and mindfulness. Let me explain with a sun salutation example. So let's say round one, you start with the basic sun salutation, Surya Namaskar A. So you're starting mountain pose, Tadasana, and then you inhale, you reach your arms up overhead, Urdhva Stasana, and then exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, step back into plank pose, lower down into Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Shavasana. And then you want to hold there for 5 breaths. Great. That's already one challenge within the sequence. And then you want to inhale, step or hop on the top of the mat, and then exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. And then inhale, rise up to standing, arms overhead, Urdhva Stasana. Exhale, return to mountain pose, Tadasana. On the round 2, in between the plank and downward facing dog, or wherever you like to add the low lunge, you add a low lunge. So for example, when you step back into planks, you go into Chaturanga Dandasana, and then upward facing dog to upward facing dog to downward facing dog, you step the right foot forward into lunge. And that's already one variation within from the first round, right? And then, for example, round 2, you want to add warrior 1. So you're going into low lunge, and then you add warrior 1. On the round 3, you add warrior 2. And there you might want to hold the breath, you might want to add a variation, or you might want to add the variation from warrior 2 in your round 5. But let's say in your round 5, you don't want to add a variation with the warrior 2, and you add, for example, extended side angle, right? But let me explain something right here. When your students are entering the warrior 2, let's take the example, you have 2 options there for a ladder flow. You can simply ask them to hold for 1 breath, or you can, or as you did before in the introduction of the asanas, or you can guide students to hold for 5 to 10 breaths to introduce one element of complexity, holding the pose and holding the breath longer, maybe like breathing into your belly, can add intensity and complexity already within the pose. All right, in this example, each round of the flow builds upon the previous one by adding a new pose, by adding a new variation, or a longer hold, or longer breaths, creating a progressive sequence that gradually increases in complexity and intensity. This method helps practitioners build strength, flexibility, and confidence in their practice, but also mindfulness. To sum up, adding a new element could be more breaths, 1 more asanas, or a variation of the previous asanas. I hope that's clear, because that's something that I've actually understood lately, and I'm happy to simplify it for you. You can use the ladder flow approach for your warm-up, for your middle one, for your middle 2, for your cool down, and add a vinyasana in between each asana, like in Ashtanga yoga. Then we move into the static flow. The static flow comes with more traditional styles of yoga, like Hatha yoga, Iyengar, Purna, Vini yoga, Shivananda yoga, Anusara yoga, and also yin and restorative. A static flow in yoga is a sequence of poses where each pose is held for longer durations, typically for several breaths, before transitioning into the next pose, into the next asanas. This approach emphasizes stability, strength, and deepening into each pose, allowing students to fully experience alignment, breath control, and mindfulness, providing a balance and calming practice. So you hold each pose for as many breaths as you decide, and you perform the right side followed by the left side. You have minimal transition in between one pose and the other, and of course the only flow that exists in those sequence, in the static flow sequence, is Surya Namaskar A or B as a warm up at the beginning of the class. So you experience one pose at a time, one breath at a time, and one skill at a time. The static flow is a great approach to yoga beginners, as it's very focused on contraindications and cautions, corrections and adjustment, common misalignments, props to use in each pose, and techniques and cues focus on anatomy knowledge. So remember to align always the flow that you pick, either the ladder or the static flow, with the overall theme and mood of your class. For example, a dynamic ladder flow might suit a class focused on strength and empowerment, while a gentle static flow might be more appropriate for stress relief and relaxation. Ensure that the flow enhance the overall cohesiveness of your class by maintaining a logical progression from one pose to the next. This helps to create a sense of harmony and rhythm in the yoga practice. Anyway, talking about the theme, that's the next and last topic of today's class. So I totally understand, as a beginner yoga teacher, it can seems daunting to juggling numerous aspects of yoga teaching. Adding a theme might seems like a bit much, especially when you're just starting. Some of you prefer to focus on nailing those cues first without diving too deep into the spiritual side of things. I totally get it. Trust me, I was there. We all know that yoga extends beyond the physical posture. It's a holistic journey encompassing the mind and the body. While focusing on cues and safety is crucial, infusing a theme adds a depth to your class, transforming into a meaningful experience. That's why I recommend to pick a simple theme. But let me tell you that incorporating a theme can be something very simple. It could be breath awareness, for example, and breath awareness could be simple, like emphasizing the importance of your breath and guide student in breath awareness. Or, for example, still in the breath field, you can go into breath as a visual symbol. Visualize your breath as you're breathing in and out, or breath as a sensation. Breathe in, feel the cold air, and breathe out, feel the warm air. That's simple as that. Or as a breath as a form of release tension. Breathe into the tension and slowly release the tension. Breath as a form of energy. Feel the breath energizing you. Or breath like a mantra. Inhale, exhale. Focus on that, on the mantra itself. Inhale, exhale, inhale. Or breath like a healing sound. You can simply encourage your students to take some time to stillness, to feel the breath, to notice the sensation in the body that are changing while they're practicing. My suggestion is genuinely love the topic you are offering. Be passionate and keep it simple. And so it doesn't have to be complicated. The simple it is, the better it is for you to use it in your yoga class. I have a lot of notification on my phone. I'm sorry, I haven't turned it down. But anyway, that's real life. Anyway, imagine discussing something you are completely at ease with, a topic that you know inside out. Maybe it's something you have experienced firsthand. In those moments, your excitement and confidence naturally bubble up, turning your talk into a joyful and convincing expression of what you know best. Some yoga theme ideas. Well, I'm gonna give that to you in one of my slides that I have on my Zeller account. You can find all the details down below. Let's go into the conclusion and talk more about how you can download the slides of today's class and previous class and future classes. Anyway, as we embark on offering and crafting your yoga class, the decision is crucial. We want to decide the duration, the level, the style, the flow, and the theme thoroughly. Tailor those elements to resonate with you and create a yoga experience that leaves a lasting impact. That's what we want. Tomorrow, we will dive into the next step in crafting your yoga class. You will find the current and the following day's slides in Femarianne Zeller account. All the details are down below in the description of the video. If you liked it, maybe you want to like it. Maybe you want to share it with your friend. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow. Stay dramatically different, always. Ciao for now.